Hello, I'm Sam, and you're joining me today for an interesting video. I've got a new car, and BMW have invited me to go and drive some of their press cars. So let's have a little look at the new wheels, and then we'll get on the road and we're going to go drive some others. Now, I think anyone that is looking at cars at the moment will have experienced this problem, that there just aren't that many out there, and they all seem quite expensive. So I'll have a little chat about this particular car when we're on the road, but essentially it's the metallic black M340i, 370 horsepower, pretty efficient, as we'll discuss. Clear windows at the back, which you actually have to spec, otherwise they're normally black. But let's have, this is one of the first ones in comfort. It unlocks, not necessarily something I'm particularly interested in, I would almost rather not have, but spec wise, we've got the uprated Harman & Kardon sound system, which sounds pretty good. We've got heads up display. These are the interior options. The normal standard M Sport seats, which are really comfy. These actually have some adjustment in. If anyone saw my Bentley video, you can move these heads back, the headrest back and forward, which is really nice. It's just quite a nice place to be. Pretty chunky steering wheel. Not a massive fan of that. Heated steering wheel, wireless charging. This car's got touchscreen, wireless CarPlay, all of that. It's a 19 car, so it's a non-hybrid. Let's pop the front. That pretty nice sounding straight six. It is also quite fuel efficient. In the boot, a reasonable amount of space, not insane. One thing I like about the BMWs is you can fold this away and it will fit under this one. In there's a tiny bit of extra storage under that one. And then you can also, they've got this sort of split opening tailgate. There's a button under there and you can chuck your stuff in, which is quite nice. Let's get cracking. Here we are in the M340i. Why an M340i? Well, baby on the way, needed a car with a bit more space. Drove a lot of cars, BMW, Audi. The Audi, I got put off A6 models by the double touchscreen. I just don't like it, and the exterior I think is okay, but it's not absolutely what I want. The E-Class, I was actually not very impressed with the ride quality, all things considered, considering they were meant to be amazing. I thought they were quite crashy. Went and drove a whole bunch of BMWs, 5 Series, 3 Series, M340i, M340d, actually drove some Alpinas, B3 and D3S, all Tourings. Initially wanted the M340d because I thought the diesel torque, I quite liked that. Great performance and then incredible fuel economy at the same time. Then speaking to a few more people, they said actually you'll get really good fuel economy in M340i, and then you get an extra bump in the performance. It's a bit more fun. Living in a city, will they change diesel regulations? They will at some point. Smaller car, I wanted a smaller car. I think I may at some point in time need a bigger car, but whilst one child on the way, I think, you know, it should be all right. There'll be loads of people watching going, no way, it's not going to be fine. And then there'll be people watching who go, yeah, it's fine. It seems to be about what you pack and how small your pram folds and all that sort of stuff. And then when you're driving around town, it's a bit narrower. It's a bit more nimble than a 5 Series, a little bit more fun. The engine, I think part of it as well was the engine's available. The M340i engine is a great engine. Like, it's 370 horsepower, get low fours, 0 to 60. When you drive the equivalent sort of BMW, you get the 540i, which is 330 horsepower, and in that car it just doesn't feel like it's much, to be honest. Then you get the 550, but you don't get it in the Touring. So I've no idea why they do that. It doesn't really make any sense. Tech-wise, in here we've got all the stuff, wireless CarPlay, touchscreen. I used to not be a touchscreen person. When I started using CarPlay, I became absolutely a touchscreen person. It is so much better. And CarPlay on this screen is a full widescreen experience. Wireless, I thought, you know what, this is probably going to be good. Using wireless CarPlay is another level. You just get in, your car connects, your Waze comes up, and you just chuck your phone on the wireless charger, and off you go. Brilliant. It is time for a coffee. Today's one of those days where coffee is very much needed. You can probably see it in my eyes, I'm quite tired, but coffee done, let's get in the car. Bought a 2019 car, 5,000 miles, non-hybrid. The hybrid, I'm sure is slightly more efficient, but I don't feel like it's much more efficient. The one I'd be interested to see is it more efficient in town, and how much so, because I reckon that's probably where you get a lot of the benefit. I was going to go for a new car. Timeline didn't really work with a new car. Then I was looking at nearly new and finding my spec. I couldn't find my spec. I wanted adaptive cruise. I didn't get it in the end. I opted for a 2019 car with 5,000 miles on it at a reasonable discount to a new car price, which seemed like okay value, all things considered. Let's put on the cruise and let's go find some BMWs. Well, I've just arrived at this event and this is quite amusing. My buddy Joe Achilles is here in his M3. I did not know he was coming. Looks quite good, doesn't it? Great colour. Spin that around. Very, very chunky in comparison to the M340i. There are a lot of BMWs here today. M3, this car, let's have a little look around it, go for a drive. I've not driven one of these hard. I was just chatting to Joe Achilles, who's in that car at the moment, and he said you just need to go out, this is the xDrive, and just give it some. So I think that's, my previous experience in M3 wasn't great, so I'm looking forward to this to really sort of make it come alive for me. I don't specifically know all of these things, so I was just asking Joe, and he said this car has, I think it's called the Ultimate Pack, which is the laser lights, the wheels. This has the ceramics. It's got the crazy cool bucket seats. This little lip on the back. It's a pretty mean looking thing. I have to say, as time goes on, these nostrils annoy me less and less. I think when you look at it from this angle, they're quite offensive, but then you put the number plate on and actually you look at it from a sort of normal height, it's not quite as crazy. I want to know what it's like to drive. Let's get in the car, go for a drive. It says on here, full drive power available shortly. So does it limit it until you've warmed up the car? Maybe. Well, it's quite a bit quicker than the M340i and 440i I've just driven, and even the 545e, all of that. This has got some serious pace. Driving this car a little bit more, the first time I drove one of these, it was on Pirellis, and I believe it makes quite a difference switching to Michelins. I was talking to Joe Achilles about it, and he thinks just slightly less of the small stuff that gets a little bit annoying. Low speed, it still is quite jiggly. So sort of if you were driving this car around town all the time, 20, 30 miles an hour, I think it'd be quite uncomfortable because it's just kind of like doing this all the time. As soon as you start going a bit faster and letting it get into its stride, it gets much better. If you're going 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, the damping's quite nice. And then when you start to push on, let's change down a couple of gears. It's quite something. It's very easy to go quick. in this four-wheel drive version, but as soon as you start going quicker, everything just kind of smooths out and everything is really nice. I wonder if I can just stop in there. Probably not. The pedal spacing, if you wanted to left foot brake, it's quite far over, so it does mean if you're 99.9% of people, you're not going to be doing that. So it's actually quite far to the right, which is great for switching back and forth. You're just riding that. You can start to feel when under heavy acceleration, the rear just slightly tightening the line, just a little bit. I wonder if you go a bit, let's go load it up a bit more. I just love driving any car quickly, really. It's really interesting back-to-back in this with the 440i, my car. I need to go and I really want to go and drive my car a bit quicker, and actually on the way back I think I'm going to do one of the short loops in my car because I haven't had a chance to push it, and I think that will be a bit better than the 440i I just drove. But this is another kettle of fish to those cars. It's so much more stable, it feels so much more capable, it feels so much more like you're sort of ripping apart a bit of road rather than kind of maneuvering a vehicle quite quickly down one. Now whether, like right now, that means you end up possibly driving a little too fast and wanting to drive faster and faster, such is life. It's really nice having these two M buttons down here. I've got one at the moment set to just comfort, so I just press that and it's like comfort, 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 everything, waft mode, and then I press the other one, press to confirm, and it's M dynamic mode, sporty drivetrain, sporty suspension, engine response, everything like that. So it's so good not having to twizzle through all of the menus. I know previously you could have individual set, but just having them right here when you're driving, I like that. I wish more models had it. I guess it's an M specific thing. The seats are really comfy. I'm super comfy in this seat. Minimal fiddling. I wonder if you can, I don't know whether you can do the side bolsters. I think, oh yes, because I'm quite slim. And it's just that sensation of the car hugging you a little bit. Okay, you can, in this car, haul. It's quite fun. You get this sensation as you drive a bit quicker of the rear just kind of like smidging out a little bit. The rear wheel's just like rotating a little bit faster than the fronts. And it's quite a cool feeling. Let's wrap it up with the M3. It's a car that surprised me quite a lot. Initially, I always thought it was a bit too stiff, and low speed it is quite jiggly, it's quite stiff. Previous car I drove, as I've mentioned, was on Pirellis, it's on Michelins, and I think this is better. But as soon as you get to like 50 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour and above and start driving fast, it's a brilliant car. It's so good. And xDrive, you can just drive, so you can just push it so hard. It's a lot of fun. And then if you have everything off, and I think probably an M dynamic as well, when you're pushing on, you can start to feel the rears like over speeding, like moving a little bit faster than the fronts, and the car starting to move a little bit. But it's it was really entertaining, massively pleasantly surprised. I'm really keen now to get in back my own car and go and push that and compare it to all of these other BMWs. So let's wrap up my time with the M3 and back to my car. Back in my car. Put it in Sport Plus. I didn't even realise there was a Sport Plus. I've not actually seem to know much about my car. I don't know whether you saw that. I feel like that was quite close. Okay. yeah, getting back in my car, this car feels quick. And it's just that little bit softer than the M3. Okay, let's put down a few gears and slow down so I can speed up. It is pretty fun to drive fast, funnily enough, and it is surprisingly quick. This is as fast a car as you want, and none of the 5 Series I've driven have felt anywhere near like this pace, which I think is 0 to 60 in low 4s in this car, and it feels really fast, and it feels fast for the size of car, which is the nice sort of combination of all of the things that is good. The 545i felt quick for a 5 Series, but just not that quick. I'm really interested to drive an M5, maybe CS at some point in time. I think that would be quite interesting. But yeah, it's fun. I'm enjoying it. It's time to go home.